two, one, action.
Alright, good day, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in. We welcome you to the Milk and Cookies News channel. Today, we bring to you what has been a week's worth of research from our most outstanding employees, coverage on global news involving the World Bank. For those of you who don't know, the World Bank is an international financial institution that provides loans to countries of the world for capital programs. And one of their very many goals is to promote and get involved in sustainable development. They choose to do this because several issues inflict the world, like climate change, environmental disasters, and different forms of energy, such as fossil fuels running out. They attempt to combat these issues by implementing their proposed strategies, which include achieving universal access to energy, doubling the rate of improvement in energy efficiency, and doubling the share of renewable energy in the global mix by 2030. More on the World Bank from Eric.
Before we go deeper into the topic of sustainable development, we believe that it would be wise to inform you on the World Bank and their history throughout the world. The World Bank was created in 1944 by Bretton Woods Conference, along with other institutions, including the International Monetary Fund, also known as the IMF. Before 1974, the reconstruction and development loans were relatively small, and before you know it, the first country to receive a loan from the World Bank was France, which was $250 million. Fast forward about 30 years, and their main goal at the time was concentrated on meeting the basic needs of people in developing worlds. The size and number of loans to borrowers was greatly increased as loans targets expanded from infrastructures into social services and other sectors. About 6 years after that, in 1980, a new successor had stepped in and decided to create a different mission, emphasizing During that period of time, the World Bank emphasized leading services to third world debt and structural adjustment, policies designed to streamline the economies of developing nations. From 1989 onwards, due to harsh criticism from many groups, they decided to include governmental groups and non-governmental organizations in their loans.
Alright, so we've got one of our most valuable employees in the Milk and Cookies organization live in Washington, D.C., near the location that decided to host the World Bank's annual meeting this year. Suham will be answering some questions for us, and if fortunate enough, we'll interview an important member of the World Bank committee. 3, 2, 1, action.
We're live here in Washington, D.C. We happen to be fortunate enough to be here while the meeting is ongoing. By the way, for those who don't know already, this date has been started from around April 21st, and there happens to be the IMF in there, but they remain to be talked about for another day.
Alright, so we got one question to ask you, and if you could give some in-depth information about this. Why is the World Bank so important?
Very excellent question you got there. For those who haven't already guessed, there's a big financial institution that plans on making people's lives better, reducing poverty across the world, and meeting certain criteria in the list of goals. Goals such as eradication of extreme poverty and hunger, achievement of universal prime education, promotion of gender equality, reduction of child mortality, improvement in mental health, environmental sustainability, and combating HIV/AIDS and other diseases to attempt to be solved by various organizations worldwide. But for the financial assignment for the combating HIV/AIDS and other diseases can be attempted to be solved by various organizations worldwide. But with the financial assistance, the large spread of World Bank all over the world, many of these criteria are being met faster and more efficiently.
Alright, thanks for all that, Soham. We'll be right back with you in a few moments. While Soham was talking there, we received some more news on the World Bank. It so happens that the World Bank released a report showing the pace of progress on the 3 energy goals, which would be access to electricity, renewable energy, and efficiency that is not fast enough to meet 2030 targets.
Wow, didn't see that coming.
Yes, Eric. Report shows that the increase of people getting access to electricity is slowing down, and if this trend is not reversed, projections are that the world will only reach 92% electrification by 2030, which is still short of universal access, 8% short. While the report shows most countries are not doing enough, some encouraging progress has been made by countries including Afghanistan, Cambodia, Kenya, Malawi, Sudan, Uganda, Zambia, and Rwanda. The report also says that the improvements in energy intensity are also projected to fall short by the 2030 goal, while the share of renewables will only reach 21% by that time.
All hope is not lost. Yeah, though, because there was a response from the senior director, head of energy and extractives at the World Bank. He says this year's global tracking framework is a wake-up call for great effort on numbers of fronts. There needs to be increased financing, bolder policy commitments, and willingness to embrace new technologies on a wider scale. The World Bank is committed, alongside our international development partners, to support countries to reach these goals, which also aligns with their objectives to double the rate of improvements of energy efficiency and doubling the share of renewable energy by 2030.
Yeah, all that was an example of the World Bank and your goals and your plans on achieving them. Nonetheless, we return to Soham in Washington D.C. and we'll be hearing what he has learned shortly.
Out there, Mr. Cheese had decided to join our broadcast for a few moments, and we'll gladly answer some questions. So, Mr. Cheese, give us your honest opinion on your thoughts about the World Bank.
I think the World Bank is a great organization. They helped many countries and other organizations to help cure diseases, poverty, and much more. And I believe their goals have been set accordingly to the time to fix these goals. And I hope to see further changes in the future of the World Bank implements.
Thank you, Mr. Cheese. Although I thought other people would say otherwise, but Mr. Cheese, although I know some people would say otherwise, you had some very good points. One of the groups that would beg to differ against Mr. Cheese has just spoken about is the Benton's Woods project. They have a lot to say concerning the World Bank and even the IMF. But in relation to the interviews, they have some concerns with the World Bank about the types of development project funded. Many projects financed have had social and environmental effects on populations in affected areas, and criticism has centered on the ethical issues of funding such projects. For example, the World Bank funding the building of hydroelectrical dams in various countries has resulted in displacement of the native people of the area.
Alright, that seems to be all the time we have left at Soham.
Okay, and again, I'm Soham Patel broadcasting from Washington, D.C., near the location of annual meeting of the World Bank. Goodbye and stay safe.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have.
Yes, today much was discussed about the World Bank. Remember to catch our show that is on every morning at 10:30 a.m. We're glad if you tune in, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Into the topic of sustainable development, we believe increased as loan the developing
As the loan targets.
Well, the meeting is ongoing.
Continue on!
Do the people of environment. Can you do it again? I can't read. Environmental and maintaining health.
Okay, restart that again.
I will gladly answer some questions.
Yes, thank you, Sohan.
Wait, I have to say another a few moments, and we'll gladly answer some questions. Sorry, can you read that? Moments, and we'll gladly answer some questions. I'm dumb. Can you please do?
And I hope to see their
Stop! Environmental effects on the population in areas. And